This is the Last Minute Blues Podcast with Alex Ferrario, Donnie Fandango, and Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN.
The Last Minute Blues Podcast is presented by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for free inspection.
It is the Last Minute Blues Podcast brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection. Donnie Fandango live in the Jeff Burton studios along with my boy Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN. Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic sitting right over there. Gentlemen, it's wonderful to see you. I have to tell you, we have tons to talk about here with the Blues, obviously. That game last night wore me out. Yeah. The first two periods, it was just blah, 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 blah. It was just like, this is so hard to stay engaged because sometimes it looks like they're a little indifferent. That said, I stick around through the intermission. The third period, so much fun. They get me on the edge of the seat, and then I think it was 1 minute and 7 seconds left. They lose again. This team, I'm going to tell you something. The teams that I love, they find a way to lose spectacular.
Yeah.
Like a way to really just like uppercut. Right square in the chin.
This ties into the NFL, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, really. But for real, like it just seems as though these Blues have a way of not only losing, but losing in a way that it hurts, and it's boy, oh boy, and then also on top of all of that, the Kyrou, neighbor's injury. I don't remember, guys, the last time that this team had so many injuries, and not only injuries, but injuries to key friggin' players. When you lose one of these guys, it's tough to recover, let alone when you lose two. And there have been times that there have been 3 or 4 of these guys out at the same time.
I think you got like 2 of your top 6 that will be in the lineup on Thursday. Snuggerud and Buchnevich, because if Thomas, Kyrou, Neighbors, and Holloway are all out, that's 2 of your top 6. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't think of it. What's wild about it, too, is I looked at Man Games Lost, and I forget who puts this together, but it's something on social media.
ManGamesLost.com?
Yeah, probably. That would be the one that puts it together. But regardless.
I thought that was it.
It was like, oh, okay, a pretty creative one. But I looked at it and I'm thinking, okay, well, they got to be like top 5. They're like back 5 of the National Hockey League in terms of injuries.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because you think of the Florida Panthers, who have been without Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk from the start of the season. Yeah. You think of some of the other teams that have been to Dallas is up there because Tyler Seguin has been out the entire season. So like there was a lot of teams that at the front end of it, their Man Games Lost are like consistently high. I think Blues were bottom 10 in the National Hockey League when I looked at it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I've been surprised by that in the past too. I think this year with the Olympic year and people want to say condensed schedule, there's just been so many injuries around the league, and especially if you have those long-term ones, that's where the man games start to add up. But you're right. 2 top 6 forwards potentially for Thursday. You're without 6 forwards right now when you include like a Sunqvist in there too. By the way, talked to him last night, and guys will never believe this, but it was kind of in that little concession food room.
Yeah, Sunqvist was getting tea and JR was getting M&Ms.
He was getting hot tea. I had the M&Ms, but he said things are looking pretty good and feels good. Yeah. I said, Oscar, the one thing that I always think about when I see an injury like that is, your wife's back home in St. Louis watching on TV, and she can't do anything about it. She can't call you.
Like panicking.
Yeah, and then he said, yeah, it's pretty scary. And the one thing he said though is, his good friend is Colton Parayko on the team, and he goes, I was fine until I see the reaction of Parayko. He goes, when those guys start like freaking out, it makes me freak out.
Parayko did too. Parayko looked down and he's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, what is happening right now? They all started panicking.
Yeah. I firmly believe that underneath Oscar Sunquist's clothes right now, his pajamas, whatever it is that he's wearing at 9:30 this morning.
It's a weird thing to think about, but hold on.
It is duct tape and super glue that is keeping that man together.
I think he looks like Deadpool.
I mean,
everything's just burned off, and
I thought you were going to say a cape.
well, that too.
Maybe that too. But I mean, that guy, with the way in which that he plays over the course of the last couple of years, it just seems like he is banged up all the time. And it's not like one of those situations where you're like, oh, he's hurt all the time, and you don't understand why. I mean, he's a friggin' missile out there. Yeah. So you absolutely get it. But I just wonder at what point, and I'm not trying to presuppose or anything, that Oscar Sunqvist says, you know what? Enough is enough, and I need my body to make it till, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, you have to think that starts to come into play with a guy that gets hurt as much as he does.
Honestly, I don't think that'll ever come into his brain.
And then he says, that's a career time to get these teeth fixed.
Yeah.
Right? He goes, hey, I got something from last night's game.
Teeth.
I'll be damned.
Got something from last night's game. Right. You get a kick. So last night, it's just on radio, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's...
Yeah, the ESPN Plus game. Mm-hmm.
So Alex is sitting next to me when it's only a radio night. So the two of us are sitting there. And, I just got this, habit of, I see something. I want to make sure that I saw what I saw, before I tweet it. And, sometimes you're looking down when a play happens. And so Robbie Fabry, you get a kick out of this. Robbie Fabry scores. Dallas challenges, right? Mm-hmm. I'm making sure I see what I see, and I go, okay, so Blues scored, Dallas is challenging. He goes, no, the Blues are challenging the goal that they scored.
He goes, so Dallas is challenging, right? I'm like, well, yeah, who else would be challenging that goal? The jerk move by me, but I kind of heard that and I thought it was funny.
I would have said that too. It's just that, there's some times where you kind of get into a flow and you think you know what is transpiring and you tweet it out and then there's 11, hey, dumbass. So I always try to talk it out first, but I get the dumbass from him. So
I caught him early in it too, because he was putting the lines out there and he was taking the lines from yesterday because they didn't do morning skate lines yesterday. And so JR was taking the practice lines from the day prior, and at the bottom, it had extras, Thomas, Suter, and Sunqvist. And he was copy and pasting and I go, hey, JR, you probably should take off the extras that are skating. And he was doing it ahead of time. But, I just like to add in those side jabs every once in a while.
It's the young guy, keep an eye on the old guy.
You got to take care of them.
The one really wonderful thing about not only the dynamic between you guys, but the dynamic between me and you, Alex, me and you, JR, we are not afraid to bust each other's chops.
No.
Like, in any way, shape, or form. Because, and I can honestly say it, man, I like you dudes so much. I know that you wouldn't be saying anything that, you know what I'm saying? It's always going to be in good fun.
For some reason, I feel like it's just hockey DNA. Like, hockey fans can handle those ribbings every once in a while. Yeah. I grew up around it with whether it's JR or being in a broadcast booth with Chris Kerber and Kelly Chase for the first couple of years, or Kerbs and Joey. I mean, it's just how it goes. And I personally love that.
No, it's cool. I got my dartboard with your picture at home.
Oh, don't worry. I spent 3 years of Kerbs calling me man boobs on broadcast. So, there's dartboards all over my house.
All right, let's not talk about man boobs.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's diverge from that particular conversation. I wanted to ask about Otto Stenberg being reassigned earlier this week to AHL Springfield. And at first, I'm not, I was like, what? Why? But then I guess sort of common sense kicked in, which is nice, the rare times that does. But is this a move for him, which one, I bet you it's going to change with the injuries last night and he's going to be brought back up, but was maybe the initial thought that you send him down to AHL so he's continuing to play during the Olympics and things, and so he's continuing to get reps, continuing to get minutes and things like that? Was that why they originally sent him down?
Yeah, and there's been a little confusion over the numbers in terms of how many games he could play. Even the Blues PR staff, when they reached out, they said, hey, it's a memo that the PA sent out, a little bit convoluted, but I think essentially it came down, if you play 16 of the last 20 games prior to the Olympic break, and that would have been 16 prior to the Olympic break, if I have that information correct, then he would not have been eligible to play for Springfield during the Olympics. So they want to keep him playing. I'm sure he wants to keep playing too. Sure, it'd be nice to have the time off, but I was saying this to somebody last night, Donnie, what if you take the 3 weeks off, then you come back for the final stretch of the Blue season, you're kind of rusty and you don't leave a great taste in the team's mouth. Well, he started off hot, but then he took a nosedive down the end of the season. Well, if you're playing for 3 weeks and you're sticking with it, you're going to come back and stay on the horse.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying you claim a position going into next year, but I think you show them that, hey, I'm ready to be in the starting lineup next year. So, look, this is 3 weeks of your life to stick to it, and I think that he would be perfectly fine doing that.
Yeah, so JR nailed it. So if he would have played one more game, he wouldn't be eligible to play for those 3 weeks in the AHL. At least that's what Curbs had told me from somebody that worked in the front office. So I don't think he gets recalled with these injuries.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess that would make sense.
I think you'll see a Matt Luff get recalled. Yeah. I think you'll see maybe a Kaskama. You're going to see somebody that they're fine if they don't play in the AHL, but I don't think it would matter because they're not playing the 16 of the 20 games going into
So they're going to be able to go back down.
So they're going to go back down no matter what. But yeah, I don't think you bring up Stenberg. And I was the same as you when I saw it. I'm like, well, this makes no sense because you don't have to activate anybody. You don't have to put other people on IR. Like, you can just leave him here. But I didn't know that. And I mean, if I'm a Blues fan, as much as I want to see him play 4 more games at the NHL level, I don't want him to wait around for 3 weeks. Yeah. And I mean, it sounds kind of selfish to say, I don't want you to have a break, but I don't know if Otto Stenberg's going to want to have a break. And he doesn't have a say. If he were to play those 16 of the 20 games, he couldn't tell the Blues, well, I want to go play in the AHL. It's PA mandated that you don't play for 3 weeks. So to JR's point, you go down, you miss 5 games at the NHL, but you're going to play 11 games between now and the end of the Olympic break. So you're going to consistently play. And then I almost guarantee that the day after the Olympic break, when that roster freeze is lifted, he's back up with the NHL. And now you've got your legs that have been worked on. You've been playing top line, power play, penalty kill, probably playing 20 minutes a night in the AHL. You can work on your offensive game a little bit more, which is something Jim Montgomery talked about. And then you come back and you're probably the freshest of the group other than the Olympians down the stretch. Like, that is the ideal scenario. So, I mean, it's asset management by the Blues. Now you don't have to put a guy on waivers when somebody comes back, but more than anything, man, you keep a young kid fresh so that he plays a bulk of games going into the offseason.
You know, I was going to ask this a little bit later on in the podcast, but now it seems to be just as good a time as any because we're talking about him. Guys, I want to know, out of this young batch that we have seen so far, what do you love? What do you what do you love? What do you think people should be sort of kind of keying in with some of these younger players? Who has stuck out to you? Who do you think needs to do a little bit more work? Those just kind of general thoughts about specifically these young players that the Blues have on the roster right now.
Before we answer, let's put the names in the group here. So we're talking Snuggerud, we're talking Dvorsky.
I wonder hold on, can we, and I almost wonder for the conversation if we leave Snuggerud out because, pardon me, just because
because you hate Snuggerud. It's fine, Donnie. Just say
stop it. No, because he's freaking Billy Badass and seems like he is sort of, and I don't even mean to say this bad about the other younger players, but I feel like he's sort of separated himself already.
Yeah. It can be. I think I'd lump him into it.
Put it in the conversation. I'm making it more difficult than it needs to be.
No. Here's the only way I would lump him into it. I look at it as, he's already a solidified top 6 guy, so there's nothing to be worried about. But I don't think you're looking at him finding out where they're solidified. I think you're looking at, are these guys moving towards what the Blues need to be good? And that's where I think Snuggerud does come into this, because for me personally, Snuggerud, Dvorsky, Stenberg, those are the 3 that I have loved watching, and I think that's the main ones for a lot of Blues fans. But specifically, this team has lacked a couple of things over the last few years. One, it's that shot-first mentality player, and Jimmy Snuggerud is that. I mean, I think Curb said on the broadcast last night, he's got 60 shot attempts in his last 9 games, and he's only got 1 goal. But that 1 goal, you have to imagine 60 shot attempts. That shooting percentage is going to skyrocket at some point. Like, Tage Thompson is a really good comp to where those first couple of years in Buffalo, he was shooting all the time. He just wasn't scoring. And then the one season he broke through and he put up 40 plus, it's like, oh, okay, here's where this guy's at. Man, Snuggerud has the shot, but JR mentioned it to me last night when we were sitting together. He's a better passer than he's a shooter, which is
at times, right?
Yeah, which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, he's got both. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a great 200-foot forward as well.
Yeah, I think he hit the post last night on 1 scoring chance. The one thing that I like about what we're talking about here is with a young player, there's a lot of times over the years where I've heard coaches say, even off to the side, off the record, we're telling this player to do that. Like we're telling Colton Parayko that he needs to be more physical, and then you don't see it, or, might be a younger player who you're trying to say, hey, we need you to pass the puck in that situation, and they just don't latch on. But with Jimmy Snuggerud, they said, we need you to shoot more, and guess what he's doing? He's shooting more. So that is a really good sign. That doesn't always happen, that you have a guy who's receptive and goes out and executes what you're trying to tell him.
So the other one that I've kept my eye on a lot more probably over these last 5 or 10 games, just because of how the team has played and where the season's at. I've been watching Dvorsky, and I don't think he's ever going to be an 80-point producer. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that you're talking about, chasing down a Hart Trophy. I do think as a 10th overall pick, the Blues found a guy who projects as a second line center. And these last few games, it's been very noticeable. I mean, because of these injuries, he's getting used more often in high leverage situations. The other night against the Kings, he played against that Kempe and Perry line, which is the Kings' top line. He finished that game as a +2, which I know plus minus is some people like it, some people don't like it. But to me, as a young forward, that means you were on the ice for more goals for than goals against, which is a positive. And then last night against Dallas, he was matched up against that Robertson line. He finished the game as a +2 and played close to 19 minutes.
Man.
And he had 5 shot attempts. He's got a point streak now that's at 5 straight games. You're seeing confidence for Dalibor Dvorsky. Plus, he was 60% in the faceoff dot against the Dallas Stars. And that's a decent faceoff team. So the fact that now you're seeing him get used in high leverage situations, 18, 19 minutes a night, there's mistakes that are going to happen. But man, if I were to say Dalibor Dvorsky has a career like Ryan O'Reilly, I think everybody would be like, hell yes, why not? And I mean, Ryan O'Reilly, with the exception of that one season, was never more than a 50, 60-point producer. He was just great defensively and always found a way to put in about 20 goals. But the difference with O'Reilly and Dvorsky is Dvorsky's got that one-timer that I think can be useful on the power play. So watching Snuggerud and Dvorsky specifically, you see why they drafted them where they did. You've got a guy who can score 30 goals in the NHL, the more comfortable he gets. And you've got another guy who can play second-line minutes for you for a team that's been looking for center depth for a long time.
What do you say there, JR?
Well, what I'd say is that you look at the 3 players that we're talking about, and you kind of expected this from Snuggerud. You kind of expected this from Dvorsky, and they're doing it. So you got to be excited about what they're doing. But I don't know that we expected this from Otto Stenberg. And so now if you're looking at a situation where, hey, look, you still have guys in the minors. Steve Ott said the other day it was a monster goal in the Springfield game by our 2 top prospects. You're talking Theo Lindstein and Kaskamaki. So forget about the 3 for a minute. You got 2 more down there that they're really high on. And I think with Stenberg, to be here this season and playing as many games as he has been, and to show Jim Montgomery, he said he's got an NHL mind. He's got a future. I just think is going to be the absolute bright spot in this season is the way that some of these young guys are playing. And I said to somebody, when people were up in arms about Stenberg going down to the minors for this little stint, I said, could you imagine if at the beginning of the season I would have told you that people are going to be upset in January about Otto Stenberg going back to Springfield? Like, what the heck? Like, that's no disrespect to Stenberg. It's just to show how well he's played.
I would have said either Stenberg was incredible if that you told me that in October, or I would have said the team was awful.
Right.
I know that as both.
I know I asked you guys this a couple of weeks ago, and I believe that I've asked you guys this maybe even once a month as the season has gone on. But can you speak about the progress or where you see Logan Mailloux right now?
Yeah, I got to be honest. There's been probably the last 5 or 6 games I haven't noticed him. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. I guess it's to each his own, but on the bad side of things, how much did we notice Logan Mailloux in the first 15 games of the regular season? I mean, I felt like we were talking about it every single game, right? A mistake that was made, a goal that went in, and you're like, oh, geez, Mailloux again played 7 or 8 minutes, and then he wasn't out there. Now, I mean, he's playing 15, 16 minutes for you. I know last night against Dallas, a puck bounced off of the goalie and then him and into the back of the net. I mean, that's been happening for all of these defensemen this season. I don't notice him on the defensive side. And a guy that I used to watch all the time that I didn't notice also was Carl Gunnarsson. And I mean, I'd say he was a fine defenseman for the Blues. the offense is coming, but it's hard to judge Logan Mailloux in terms of his offensive ability because the whole team's not putting pucks in the net, right? Like Mailloux can create chances and be in the zone, but you're not expecting your defenseman to generate all of this offense. It's not like he's Cale Makar out there. So I've been fine with it. I think people are wanting to see results faster with Logan Mailloux because Zach Bolduc was traded. I don't know if anybody has kept track of Zach Bolduc. He's playing third or fourth line minutes for Montreal. So it's not as if he's a world beater right now for the Montreal Canadiens. So I've been fine with Mailloux. It's just, I think right now he's playing like a third pair defenseman. You just don't notice him when he's out there.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing that you don't notice him. Like you said, you did notice him, for the mistakes early on in the season. So I think it's a great thing that we're not talking about him. That means he's likely getting the job done.
Yeah.
And number two, it's almost impossible, especially for a young player, to stand out in a situation like this.
Yeah.
We're talking about the, bottom 2 or 3 team in the league.
Yeah.
Nobody's playing well. Nobody's producing. So you said it, Alex. It's just for Logan Mailloux, if we were talking about, look at that goal, then we'd be talking about you got a star on your hands because somehow he's able to overcome everything that's going on right now and still stick out. So I wouldn't blame him, not that we are, but I wouldn't blame him for, not being a headline guy.
Well, and I think they're protecting the asset too, right? Like Tyler Tucker has had his lumps to where he can have mistakes that happen and just be like, hey, this is what happens when you're a young player. I think you're protecting Mailloux a little bit in terms of confidence to where you don't want to put him out there for 19, 20 minutes because if a mistake happens, do you lose the confidence that you've built up? And frankly, for Logan Mailloux, he doesn't have to play that role right now, right? I mean, we see Broberg and we are so fascinated by how Broberg plays because of the offense he creates, the moves he can make in the offensive zone, and just how great he is in terms of conditioning. Broberg's been an NHLer or an AHLer for 5 seasons now. This is the second pro season for Logan Mailloux. So it's one of those things that you just kind of look at and you say, yeah, I think you're protecting the asset.
Yeah, I'll take it one step further and say this. I think, and I know people are going to say, oh, you can just, justify it, make excuses.
Yeah.
I think that this year isn't a season where you can look at any of those types of guys and say, that's who they are and that's who they're going to be. This is just this is just a games played year. Like this is just to get experience for these guys and it's going to help them in the future.
What do you think, and not to go off the rails here, and then I want to take a break and come back and talk about trades, but what do you think the Blues coaching staff will tell a young player like Mailloux going into the offseason?
Yeah, that, hey, you saw it and you got things to work on. Here's XYZ. Here's what's going to help you. And there is a spot here available for you if you work hard and continue to progress. That's what I'd be telling them.
I mean, strength is going to be the one thing you're going to have to go out there. I mean, he's what, 22 years old, 23 years old? Like, you're not even into the man's body yet. So strength is going to be one big thing. Just the mindset, the ice hockey IQ that you're going to have out there. But and this might be me too much projecting into it, but I mean, I really wonder if the Blues go the route of changing the personnel in terms of the coaching staff, like we've seen Steve Ott go to the AHL, if Mike Weber's not back, if Claude Julien's not back, do they bring in a different mind as a defensive coach that works with a guy like Logan Mailloux to maybe transition to, hey, now we take this step moving forward? So I don't know. It's me speculating with it, but I mean, you're going to just have the mindset of, hey, I got to be stronger and I got to be smarter and I have to find ways to generate more offense when I'm on the ice as a defenseman. But I think a lot of that is, does the scheme change again if you bring in new coaching staff?
Man, you dudes give some excellent ass answers. All right, let's come on back. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk some trades.
Oh, baby.
All right. Last Minute Blues podcast. We'll be right back. All right. So as a sports fan, I love trade season. Okay. I find myself
too. Look at that face. Look at that face.
Poor guy. We are in just different universes when it comes to this. When the NBA trade deadline happens, I care about the NBA for 2 days.
Did you go?
I just absolutely love it. Guys, it seems as though this trade deadline could be, I mean, it's going to be massive for the Blues one way or the other, but it feels as though it could be massive in the players moved, the number of trades sort of thing. How do you guys see this shaking out? I would assume Falk and Shin at this point, we're looking for the match right now. I would assume that that's almost a foregone kind of conclusion. But what do you think about the others? What do you think about the chances for Thomas, for Benner, for Kyrou? And this is at the the trade deadline, not talking about off-season.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think they tackle?
Side thought when you brought that up, like we need Zane to just do a slow zoom on, you know, the Debbie Downer skit in SNL? Yes. We need a slow zoom on JR's face.
Here, let's do it. Ready?
Wah, wah, wah.
And I feel so bad that it makes me so happy and you so sad.
Oh, I know, but it's like Debbie Downer. So I think you said it right. To me, I hate saying it because I love Braden Shen as a player and as a person. I mean, he's just an awesome human being. Shen and Falk, I think, are as good as gone.
And I don't want please understand, I'm not saying that I'm like happy that is going to happen with Shenner. I freaking love that guy, but
you just wonder if it's time.
Yes.
And the front office is probably wondering the same thing. You've got to make transitions. And look, they're going to be hot commodities around the National Hockey League. You got one guy who's got a Stanley Cup and is a captain, so that's leadership quality, plays a prime position. And then you've got another guy who, in my opinion, is the best asset on the trade deadline right now in Justin Falk, because there's no other defenseman that can play top 4 minutes and produce offensively for you. I think those two are going to be what's the best return we can have. And then it just might be me thinking crazy. I wonder if Kyrou's traded at the deadline. I don't think Thomas is traded at the deadline. I think the injury is going to lead to, we're not doing that unless somebody blows us out of the water. Nobody's blowing you out of the water in the middle of a season before the playoff run. Mm-hmm. That's an off-season move. Mm-hmm. Kyrou's the one that I'm kind of 50-50 on, and I'm 50-50 on Jordan Bennington as well. My theory with Jordan Bennington, and I've just, you know that Charlie Day meme where he's got like 18,000 yarns and Post-it notes and he's trying to solve it? Yeah. I've been doing that for this trade stuff because I'm trying to figure out like what's the best moves that the Blues can pull off. So here's the most recent one that's come into my mind. Detroit wants a right-handed defenseman with term. That sounds like Justin Falk, unless somebody else has a better option out there on the market. If the Blues were to trade Justin Falk to Detroit's got 3 young goaltenders right now in their system. One's playing in the AHL, one's in college, one's playing over in Slovakia. What if the Blues were to trade Falk for one of those young goaltenders? They don't have a whole lot in their system right now that Colton Ellis is gone. And then what if they look at that as, now let's see what we can get for Jordan Bennington? A lot of this rides on Bennington's performance in the Olympics. Does somebody want to trade them? Do the Blues even want to trade them? Because if they're trying to compete next year, you got to have Bennington because you don't have a backup. But, I mean, now you're getting kind of crazy talk with this because one team wants this. You want young assets. Why not go for a young goaltender that projects to be a number 1 in the NHL? And then you can adjust accordingly with your roster around that. So for me, I think it's Shen, it's Falk. I'm 50-50 on Kyrou, and then Bennington I'm starting to wonder as well.
Yeah, there's just a lot here. But I want to start here, and you guys hit it. I'll just rehash it for 1 second, is that I don't think it needs a qualifier, but I've learned in the past couple of weeks that it kind of does. When you talk about trading Shen and Falk, people say, why would you do that? Like, Shen's been so good for the team in terms of the leadership. I get that. I feel like I've been one person in town who has said, look what this guy does for you.
Don't do this.
Yeah. And Justin Falk, hey, he's been one of your best defensemen with Broberg. You know, why would you trade these guys? Because they're aging veterans with term left and you're moving into the future.
Yeah, your team's stuck.
That's why you're trading them. It has nothing to do with Shen's culture or Justin Falk's offense. It's the fact that they have term and you're moving forward, and there's teams that want them, so you can get something for them before it's like your car with 200,000 miles on it. If you don't get rid of it now, you know, it's going to fall off there.
No, I'm driving that till it falls off.
Yeah, you're driving that off. So that's, I just wanted to lay that out there. Yeah. That's the reason why you're thinking about that. So I think that those two guys definitely could be traded. You know, let's touch on Bennington first before we get into the other guys. You know, what can you get? You know, if you can make a trade and get one of the Detroit netminders and you bring him in here and maybe he's a step ahead of some of the prospects like a Herenstam who's, you know, young guy, but he's going to be in there in the future. You know, are you going to go out and get a backup who can play with Hofer next year? I'm fine with trading Jordan Bennington. However, I don't think the return is going to be what people think it's going to be. Agreed. I don't think it's going to be a situation where you're going to go, that was the deal that helped the Blues get this guy, and now they've got the piece that's not it. That's not what happens with goaltenders. Okay, let's move on to the core guys, Thomas, Kyrou, and such. Thomas, I think that they're definitely entertaining the idea of trading him. I don't think that they're actively calling 10 teams a day to find out, hey, what will you give us for Robert Thomas? I just think that they're listening / maybe countering / seeing what's out there. Could that get done before the trade deadline? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. With Jordan Kyrou, I think it depends on the urgency of the teams who are interested in him. So if you have a Washington who, Alex, you've brought this up, they're a team that wants some speed. Look, Ovechkin's got what this year? Is he coming back next year?
He's a UFA after this year.
Yeah, who knows if he's coming back. So are you trying to put all the eggs in the basket with Ovi this year to try to, do it one more time? And I'm not saying Jordan Kyrou is that guy, but I'm just saying, are you pulling out all stops to get this done before the deadline? If you are, then maybe that deal could get done. I just feel like I've seen this movie before where you kind of get amped up about the possibility of some of the bigger names, blockbuster type deals getting done before the trade deadline, and they don't. And it's a summer type deal.
It feels like it needs to happen, though.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it needs to happen. And I hate saying that, but you're at the position where you're just stuck. And you probably, if I'm Doug Armstrong and Alex Steen, look at this saying it's not going to get any better. Mm-hmm. So why not chase this right now and see what's out there? And JR's probably right. Like hockey moves like that just don't happen in season unless a team is desperate. And the one he's referencing, we had Jeff Merrick on, who's one of my favorite insiders.
Boy, he's so good.
He is. He hosts the sheet over on the Daily Faceoff. And we had
tattoos.
Arm sleeve. Which the one time I saw him with a t-shirt on, I'm like, whoa, what the heck? Gives me hope I could pull off an arm sleeve.
No.
Yeah. Jared, please show me that.
Zane, here we
go. But he told us when we had him on BK and Ferrario, he said, he wonders about Washington. He said, Washington is a team that needs more speed. They were after Nikolai Ehlers. How desperate are they to go after something like that? And I've seen the connection of, Washington might like Artemi Panarin. Washington might like this guy. So it's a team that makes sense. They have some cap space. There'd have to be things that work out to make it work, but it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then the other one that I brought up to Jeff, and Jeff was kind of like, that's a really interesting idea. I said, what about the Buffalo Sabres? The Buffalo Sabres, if you look at their depth chart, they've got 4 left-handed defensemen that are top 4 guys. They've got Dahlin, Byram, Matthias Samuelsson, and Owen Power.
Uh-huh.
And Austin.
Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I thought I missed it for a second.
I did too.
I'll be damned. Like that's a kid's name.
It's like, how do you pronounce it Austin when it's spelled O-W-E-N? What is happening today? Anyway, so I looked at that and I said, okay, if I'm Buffalo, I'm raring to go. I've been one of the hottest teams in the NHL since December, and I have my defense. Like, I've got a ton of defense. What am I lacking? Secondary offense and goaltending. So I looked at that and said, I wonder if you can pull off a hockey trade where it's like a Kyrou for a Power. So again, this is me just speculating here, but I wonder if that's a move that somebody looks at and say, well, if I'm Team X and I'm getting Kyrou, I'm getting term. And if I'm the Blues, I'm getting younger. And I guess that brings up the question that I wanted to ask you guys. If I'm making moves, what am I looking for? Like, what are you trying to bring in if you're trading Shen, Falk, Kyrou, Bennington, Thomas? Like, if you're going down that path, are you looking at picks? Are you looking at NHL ready players? Are you looking at younger pieces that are project to be NHL players next year? Like, what are you searching for if you're trying to turn this around?
I think that you're looking, I don't think you're looking for picks. I think you're looking for younger players who can be ready in a couple years, if not sooner. I think if you're looking at Buffalo, is it Power? Is it Bowen Byram? Like, it's somebody who can come in and help this young core because, like Doug Armstrong has said, like you want these guys to be ready, which those guys are now, when the Snuggerudes and the Neighbors and some of these guys are going to be at their prime there. So that's what I'm looking for.
I tell you, and this is just me, I don't know, maybe I like pain, but what about trading Kyrou for another sort of guy that might need a change of scenery? Yep. And I don't know who that is because I'm not like you guys, but I'm just saying, like, maybe somebody that, boy, it's there. They've got the upside. I'm not saying that that's ideal, but I think that I don't want to be messing around in the world of picks too awful much.
Yeah.
I want young guys. I want young guys that are either going to be here or be here real soon.
Well, and that's where I've just been. It's like, I look at this, say, I don't want picks. And I've gotten pushback from BK. I've gotten pushback from fans that say, well, why wouldn't you want first round picks? Those are commodities. Those are commodities if a team's willing to trade for them. But how often are teams willing to trade for your 27th overall pick in this year's draft if it's a weak draft? You have to package those with 3 other things, and I don't know if they're going to be in the business of packaging together to go get something in return. So if I can focus in on, hey, this prospect is 21, 22 years old who's playing in college or playing in the AHL, and he's going to be in NHL or next year, I think that's what I'm identifying. I'm targeting guys that are in the same age frame as Dvorsky, Stenberg, Snuggerud, Holloway, Neighbors, Broberg, Jiricek, Carbonneau. Like, you've got the core in front of you. It's just, how do you transition to that core, but also how do you find the pieces that you don't have? Like, I asked Jeff Merrick this, what do contending teams have that the Blues are lacking? And Jeff's immediate response was defense. He said, you're not good enough defensively. And man, I hear it and it's like, you got Broberg, you got Parayko. I mean, those are pretty good pieces to have, but then what?
Yeah, the only thing there though is, and he's not wrong. By the way, I like the subtle flex earlier from Alex where he said, I told Merrick this, and he said, oh yeah, that's right.
Not a big deal.
That was flex a subtle there. Flex. I didn't even catch that.
Hold on,
guys, I got to scratch my back here a minute. Oh.
The other part about this is Alex is going to get one of these right because he's the Detroit Falk, he's going to get one of these right, and that day is going to suck.
Oh, yeah, I know. I sit by JR every Blues game, and I tell him, like, hey, man, I think Falk for this guy. Hey, man, I think, and when it happens, I'm going to be like, told you so.
That part's going to suck.
I hope it happens on a podcast day so we can see it.
No, please don't. No, not while I'm doing the podcast. But the one thing I'll say, though, is he's not wrong, but the only thing is, like, okay, so what do you do about that? You go out and trade for a D, and then what's that guy going to do? Block Jiricek or block, one of these young guys, Lindstein, who's coming up? So I think I'm not saying they wouldn't go out and get a Power or Byram. They definitely were interested in Byram, but like you got these young guys coming, and granted they're a few years from competing.
But can't those guys be happy? So like, let's say in this hypothetical world, you trade Kyrou for Owen Power. Buffalo, it's a change of scenery guy. Buffalo's like, hey, we got a lot of these guys. We like Byram, we like Dahlin. We need offense. If I'm the Blues, I'm looking at this saying, all right, Broberg, Power, Parayko, Jiricek. That's my future top 4 right there. And I mean, that's a hell of a top 4 to have that you're building around. And then if for some reason Theo Lindstein comes out of nowhere and is just this world beater, or a Lucas Fisher or a Colin Ralph, and they come out and it's like, whoa, where'd this come from? Isn't that beneficial for your team? Because then he's an incredible third pair defenseman, and you've got to make tough decisions moving forward with the roster you have in place.
You're exactly right. The only thing is, where's the offense coming? And I get it. It's not coming from Kyrou right now. I get it. I'm just saying, like, you're hoping that Carbonneau is going to deliver. You're hoping that Snuggerud is going to deliver. So it's fine. You can beef up the D, but I feel like you got more D coming up than you do forwards.
There's a lot of D talk here right now. By the way, title of the podcast, Beef Up the D.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to take a break. We're going to come back with our final segment of the Last Minute Blues podcast. Hang out. All right, so we're back here real quick for a final segment of the Last Minute Blues podcast. Guys, I know the New York Rangers are obviously already selling. I would assume the Vancouver Canucks, probably another team that whatever assets they have, they're probably going to be selling. Who are some other sellers here at the deadline for us to kind of be looking at?
So I think you mentioned Vancouver and New York. I'd put Calgary into that. Now, I don't know how much else they have to sell. Right, Kadri and Coleman, but Kadri might not get moved. Coleman has a decision where he's going to go. And then the other one that I wonder if teams call is the Columbus Blue Jackets. But so what's weird about this is, and this is why I think you're not seeing trades right now, it's so tight that every team that's like, oh, are we a buyer or a seller? You're still in it. Mm-hmm. Like Nashville, probably a seller, but you're still in it. But Columbus is one that I wonder about because they've got a ton of guys that are pending UFAs that why not ship them out? Winnipeg's another one. But like I look at some of those teams and I'm like, man, what do you have to offer in terms of trades other than the guys that are cost controlled? And I don't know why they would be trading those players.
Yeah, and this just kind of popped up in my little bitty head here is...
my little bitty head.
How about the
so many
fact
titles.
That it could be the Blues who kind of control when that stuff gets moving because they've got 5 guys on the Athletics trade board.
Yeah.
They've got guys who are kind of prime guys at each of these positions with a Falk, with a Shen, and I take that from Stanley Cup experience and so on and so forth, with a goalie, Bennington. So I feel like maybe this thing won't get started league-wide. Granted, there's been a few deals already, but really get rolling until the Blues start pulling the trigger on some of their deals.
I do really wonder if the Blues are the belle of the ball, for lack of a better phrase, because it's not just those 5 guys you're talking about. Like, if teams want center, Pius Suter could be one that they call about. Nick Bukestad could be one they call about. Oscar Sunqvist could be one that they call about.
Cam Fowler.
Yeah, Cam Fowler as well. Like, you've got pieces that, I mean, honestly, it's a free-for-all to where you call the Blues up and it's like, well, what do you have that I need? And other teams don't have that. Like the Rangers, for example. The guys that they're trying to move have no movement clauses. So they dictate where they're going to play. The Vancouver Canucks, their best commodity right now is Pettersson. And Pettersson's got a no movement clause. So the Blues are the one team to where, yes, I know that there's a no trade for Kyrou and Thomas, but it's a modified no trade for Bennington. It's a modified for Schenn, for Falk. And then you've got no trade clauses on guys like Pius Suter, Sunqvist, things like that. So, I mean, I do think what JR said is right. They're kind of the team that makes everything go at the trade deadline. Other teams will say, well, let's see what else is out there. And then they come back to the Blues because the Blues might have the best asset to trade for that they realistically can.
Man, this is equal parts like exciting and nerve-wracking because so many big decisions in which have to be made. We've said in years past, this is a huge offseason for this team.
Yeah.
This is a huge friggin' offseason for this team, and it is going to be incredibly exciting to see what they do, how they sort of get themselves out of this mess in which that they're in.
Yeah.
And Alexander Steen, welcome to the job, buddy.
On top of potentially having a top 3 pick. Like, that's the other thing that, you haven't had that since Pietrangelo.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a little something that I'm nervous about?
That they drafted defensemen? Because that's the part I'm very worried about.
I haven't even gotten that far.
I don't want that.
I just had, and I had a dream that we got hosed in the draft lottery.
Don't. Why would you even, man?
Can we cut this out?
Yeah, we need to cut this out. Why would you even put that into the atmosphere?
Well,
I'm going to go through this whole season for nothing and get like a 7th pick because of the draft lottery. How dare you?
All right, let's do this.
Donnie and his dreams. Hey, and I can only guarantee.
Let's just cut out the last 90 seconds.
But keep this part. I can guarantee you one thing is going to happen, and that's when the biggest blockbuster deal with the Blues goes down, I will be at Wally's getting beef jerky. That's
beef jerky, not like a corn dog or something?
Why Wally's and why beef jerky? First of all, Wally's is wonderful.
They've got their own beef jerky section.
Yeah.
So it's not like going into a gas station where there's a bag of it and it's $72 for the bag. I walk up and get 3 pieces fresh. Anybody go in there, little jalapeno, little Korean barbecue. So that's where I'm going to be.
Don't they have billboards for Wally's that says you'll love our jerky or something like that?
They should. A few months ago, I took my daughter and my oldest son to Chicago to Soldier Field to see My Chemical Romance. Nice. And I decided, because I'm an idiot and because we don't have a ton of dough right now, that we were going to round trip it in that day.
Oh, I've been there before.
So, and it's really not that bad. No. It's really, really not. And I don't exactly remember where we stumbled across a Wally's at about 1:30 in the morning.
It's called Pontiac, Illinois.
Is that what it is? Seriously?
JR frequents it a lot for his jalapeno jerky.
No, seriously though. Yeah. We're on the way back and we see it, or we see the sign for it, and it's, dude, all of us were just like, oh my God, thank you, God.
They lose Donnie and Wally's and he comes out of the corner. Guys, I found the jerky wall.
Yeah. No, they wouldn't lose me. I was the one paying. And so there's absolutely no reason. All right, I do think that we should cut out the 90 seconds where I talk about my dreams.
Too late. It's been here in the title of this, Donnie had a bad dream.
It's the Last Minute Blues podcast. It is brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Blue Note Roofing, roofing, siding, and gutters. Your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection. Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN. I'm Donnie Fandango. Thank you, as always, for listening, for watching. It's the Last Minute Blues podcast. As always, let's go Blues.
The Last Minute Blues podcast on 101 ESPN
is presented by Blue Note Roofing, roofing, siding, and gutters. Your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for free inspection.